Kia ora folks, I'm Ewen McQueen, author of this book, One Sun in the Sky, The Untold Story of Sovereignty in the Treaty of Waitangi. And today I just wanted to briefly share with you one of the many stories in this book which I think you'll find fascinating and maybe even a little surprising. So let's do some time travel back into our New Zealand history. Let's go back to September 1844. It's now been 4 years since the treaty was signed at Waitangi, and since then the British flag, the ensign, it's been flying on the flagstaff on Maiki Hill above Kororareka. It's in Russell, modern day Russell. And however, more recently, one of the local chiefs, Hone Heke, has been expressing some doubts about the treaty. And to be fair, he's not the only one. There are a number of chiefs in the north who are concerned about some of the governor's new policies. Things such as moving the capital to Auckland, the imposition of customs duties, ban on felling kauri trees. All of these things have led to a degree of discontent among Māori in the north. However, whereas others were willing to dialogue with the new governor, Heke had come to a position of deep mistrust. He no longer believed that the Crown, the British, were going to honour the treaty. He'd come under the influence to some degree of some American settlers who rather unhelpfully told him that the British were going to take their land and make them slaves. Tau rekereka. And so from that position, Heke decided he would take direct action. And as we all know, he felled the flagstaff first time in July 1844 as a direct challenge to Crown sovereignty and a rejection of the treaty. The treaty, he thought, was a trick, a rat trap, and the governor should go home. So now we come to September 1844, and Governor Fitzroy has come north to address this situation that is developing. He first meets with a number of other local chiefs at Waimate, the Waimate mission station. It's a beautiful spot inland from Kirikiri, about 20 k's. There's actually a photo of it with this post, and there's also a photo of the transcript of the hui, which was held, and it records Fitzroy's speech and the chief's replies to his speech. And from that transcript, we see that Fitzroy opens the meeting by addressing the issue of the flagstaff and the flag, and he says the flag is a symbol of liberty. It's a symbol of freedom, and far from making them slaves, as Heke asserted, by coming under Crown authority in the treaty, they were actually protected and given the rights and privileges of British subjects. He then invites the chiefs to openly express their views about the situation. Now, at this point, if you believe the modern view of how the chiefs understood the treaty, there would have been a resounding rejection of what Fitzroy had just told them. They would have said, look, in our mind, we didn't agree to come under Crown sovereignty in the treaty. We retain our full independent sovereignty. You only have authority over the Pākehā settlers. However, that's not what happened. Instead, we see from the meeting notes that over 20 chiefs get up, and yes, they robustly express their views, but not one of them disagrees with the governor's assessment of the situation and with the governor's explanation of the treaty. Instead, we find many of them making statements which actually confirm the traditional understanding of the treaty, which is that yes, it protected chieftainship, but it did so within the overarching context of the sovereignty of the Crown over all New Zealanders. And so we hear statements from the gathered chiefs such as, Governor, you are the great chief of this place. Another fully acknowledges Fitzroy as governor of this country. Another says, look, if Heke tries to chop the flagstaff down again, they will fight for it and fight for our governor. Another says, look, the chieftainship rests with one, the governor. So none of those statements fit, of course, with the modern dual sovereignty paradigm of treaty interpretation. However, they are the clearly recorded views of over 20 chiefs at Waimate in September 1844. And if we want to chart our way forward as a nation, we really need to do so on the basis of truth about our history. And yes, that includes truth about injustices suffered by Maori with Crown breaches of the treaty and loss of land and resources. But it also includes truth on this issue of sovereignty. So I hope you've enjoyed this little trip back in our history. If you want to check my sources, you will find them here in my book, One Sun in the Sky. And the book, it doesn't just deal with this meeting, it deals with a whole bunch of other meetings, events. It's full of historical evidence on this issue. Look, thousands of New Zealanders have now enjoyed it. Many have found it really helpful, giving them great clarity about the treaty. You can get a copy at www.onesuninthesky.com. That's onesuninthesky, all one word, .com. There should be a link to it in this post. I'm Ewen McQueen. You have a great day.